Sherrone Moore out at Michigan. Is Kalen DeBoer that guy?
You are Locked On College Football with Spencer McLaughlin, your daily podcast on all things college football. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Locked On College Football. I'm your host, Spencer McLaughlin. Thank you all so much for making this your first listen or your first view every day. It is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, the number one sports podcast network out there. I've got potential landing spots that make sense to me for Arizona State quarterback Sam Leavitt and an early glance at the Alabama-Oklahoma matchup, which now has a little bit more spice to it. This episode brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. A stunner to most of us on Thursday evening as Sherrone Moore was fired from his head coaching position at Michigan because of an inappropriate relationship with a staffer. That's all I'm going to say on that front. You know why? Let's get into what comes next. The name that keeps popping up that I've heard from a couple people that others have reported that is going to be a target is Kalen DeBoer. And publicly, sure, Kalen DeBoer said the right things about whether or not he's happy at Alabama. Does it seem or feel like a perfect fit? He'd be going into a 2026 season, Kalen DeBoer would, in which he'd be breaking in a new quarterback. Would he go up to Michigan? Here, I'll get to the interesting contrast of that in just a moment. From that angle alone, I think there is a real possibility that DeBoer would consider it. If Alabama, that is limping into the college football playoff, after failing to make the playoff in his first season, which was absolutely a failure of a first year for Kalen DeBoer in Tuscaloosa, if it ends with a blowout loss to Georgia and then a loss to Oklahoma on the road, and I think they're going to lose that game again, by the way, if that's how it comes to a close, does he say, you know what, this was a great opportunity, but this is not going the way that I expected it to? If Alabama is bounced by Oklahoma in the first round of the college football playoff, I think there would be plenty of Alabama fans. I don't know about the boosters. I'm not tapped into that down there. I think there would be plenty of Alabama fans that would justifiably say, yeah, okay, maybe we should go in a different direction here. I don't know who you'd get at that point because I'm sure you've looked around and noticed most of the good candidates have already been hired. So I don't know where exactly Alabama would go. Don't go too crazy. I'm not even going to say the crazy thing there. But if you're Michigan, should you try and get Kalen DeBoer? Absolutely. Absolutely. Why wouldn't you? You're the University of Michigan. Sherrone Moore has been fired with cause, meaning you don't have some black hole of money that you have to try and climb your way out of here, because coaches are owed the money on their contracts when they're fired without cause, meaning for poor performance on the field. Well, no, I don't believe going to have to pay the rest of the contract, so you should have plenty of money to throw at a coach. And is Kalen DeBoer the best one that would possibly be available? Yes. Now look at this from Kalen DeBoer's perspective. Would you rather be the head coach at Alabama or the head coach at Michigan? It's an interesting question. It's a legit. I think most people would say Alabama's the better job. On a year-to-year basis, which schedule do you think is tougher? Who's got a more difficult path to the college football playoff each year? Michigan or Alabama? Might depend on the season. Generally speaking, though, when I look at Michigan's schedule, certainly this year, yeah, I'd say that answer is Alabama. Now, Kalen DeBoer has proven that he can get Alabama there no matter what the schedule is. But would you take an opportunity to go have the same type of playoff access from a conference pedigree standpoint and maybe a little bit easier playoff access with regards to your schedule? I think you'd consider it. Do you want to go back to Tuscaloosa in 2026 and face the ever-mounting criticism of, hey, this doesn't look anything like the Nick Saban days, and go take over a job at Michigan where winning 9 games, I'm not saying that it's something they're settling for or accepting or saying this is what we're going to be forever from now until the end of time. We know that when you run Michigan correctly, they can go out and compete for a national championship and be a Big Ten contender and a playoff contender, especially in the 12-team era. We know they can do all of that. So I don't think you'd be taking a massive downgrade. Now, if money's a big factor, the question would perhaps become, well, how much is Michigan willing to potentially throw at Kalen DeBoer? But let's get to the team side of this for 2026. And maybe Kalen DeBoer is thinking about all of the long-term aspects and why you'd rather be at Alabama than Michigan. I think there are arguments in both directions, frankly. But he's working this year with Ty Simpson, who hadn't played a lot of football, but had been around football at the college level for a long time. And he's relying very heavily on that. But overall, I'd say it's going pretty well. It hasn't looked good in the last month, but they're in the playoff. They've won some seriously big games, and Ty Simpson, for the most part, has been incredibly productive. Well, if he were to go up to Michigan and take on Bryce Underwood as his next quarterback project, isn't that a better situation to be in than working with either Austin Mack or Keelan Russell? Those guys have immense potential. Keelan Russell, top quarterback prospect. I mean, both of those guys can be legit Power 4 starters. If you are Kalen DeBoer and you want to win games in the here and now, and you view college sports as a year-to-year proposition, as most coaches and players do today in the modern era of college sports, I think you'd rather have the quarterback situation at Michigan than you would at Alabama. Because then if you're dealing, and remember, DeBoer has had success with veteran, experienced quarterbacks who are most well-suited to sit in the pocket and throw the football. That's when his teams have been at their best at every stop that he has been in. Now, Bryce Underwood can obviously run a little bit, but he's not Haynes King at Georgia Tech, where he's running the ball 20 to 30 times a game, and that's all he can do. No, the mobility is a part of it. Now, what I would wonder, because Michigan's identity, ever since Jim Harbaugh has been there, and of course Sherrone Moore taking over, coming from that exact coaching staff, I wonder how that would go. Does Michigan currently have the personnel to run Kalen DeBoer's offense? Not even close. Who would Kalen DeBoer be able to bring with him? That's a question he'd have to be able to answer. Because the Michigan football team is a good one. We know that. They're 9-3. Playing in the Big Ten. We know they're good. We know they were trending up. But they were trending in a direction of being built in Sherrone Moore's image. Well, he and Kalen DeBoer play football and call football games very differently. So on the one hand, Bryce Underwood is someone that, boy, better watch and see what happens with him, because he's a mega talent and could be a superstar in college football. Dude can win the Heisman Trophy one day. From that angle of it, if I'm Kalen DeBoer, I'd say, boy, I'd rather be at Michigan. But the rest of the personnel, not built for the way that he wants to play football. Now, I'm going to get into some more names tomorrow on the show as we talk about this further and let this kind of play out a little bit. But one name that has been discussed out there is Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator for the Chargers. If I'm Michigan, I would stay away. Whatever you think of that entire era and Connor Stallions and everything that went down there, I wouldn't want to reintroduce that, bring up old wounds. I think it can just inject the wrong sort of vibe into the program, and I don't think he's someone that would be around for the long term. Because he has had so much success at the NFL level as the Chargers defensive coordinator, he's going to get NFL head coaching opportunities. So if I'm Michigan, I would look at college coaches. Kalen DeBoer is one. Jed Fish at Washington has not announced an extension, by the way. I heard he was going to, and then that didn't happen. So keep an eye on him up there in Seattle. He has moved around a lot in his coaching career and has done a good job with the Huskies over the last couple of seasons, taking over for, ironically, Kalen DeBoer. So let me know your thoughts in the YouTube comments below. Hit me up on Twitter at @LockedOn_CFB or at @SMcLaughlinCFB. One quarterback who is in the portal, or is going to be, I should say, when it opens, is Sam Leavitt. Here are the places that he could go. First, this episode brought to you by Aura Frames. The holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. And if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every time. It's not just something you wrap. It's a way to share memories because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before gifting it, so when the person you give it to plugs it in, the memories are already there. No apps to figure out, no setup, no headaches, just instant smiles. So I have seen one of these in person before, and let me tell you, they look great. It's not just a digital picture frame that doesn't have any thought or care to the aesthetic it has for where you or what you want a picture frame to look like in a given room. It looks really good. The pictures roll through and you don't get to just enjoy one photo, you get to enjoy a bunch. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling carver mat frames. Named number one by Wirecutter by using the promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's auraframes.com. Promo code COLLEGE. This deal is exclusive to listeners and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Check out auraframes.com. So I combed through every Power 4 conference, and I didn't really have to look at the Big 12, because if Sam Leavitt's leaving Arizona State, you know he's going to a different league. And I thought to myself, as I looked at each and every team, I thought in my head, would Sam Leavitt make sense there? Would Sam Leavitt make sense here? What about this school? What about that school? So this is just me theorizing, thinking about where a potential fit would be. And by the way, Arizona State was prepared to offer him more than enough in NIL. So whoever is getting him has got at least one donor with some serious pockets, and they also really believe in the Westland, Oregon native. Now, let me start with Miami. Their success with transfer portal quarterbacks the last 2 years has been really good. Shannon Dawson, the OC, is one of the best offensive coordinators in all of college football. He's got Miami in the playoff, of course. That's controversial to some, but they have won 20 regular season games in the last 2 years. For all the flack that Miami takes for the games that they continuously find a way to lose that they shouldn't, the Mario Cristobal special, fundamentally, they are a good program and they are a good football team. And they could absolutely go to College Station and knock off Texas A&M. That's feasible. They've done that in the Mario Cristobal era, as a matter of fact. So Miami has shown a willingness to go out and add transfers. They have a proven track record of success with the same offensive coordinator still in place, and they have a serious need because I don't think, based on what I've talked about with Alex Dono of Locked On Canes, that they think they have their quarterback of the future in the room right here, right now. So Miami would make a lot of sense. Cam Ward turned into a number one overall pick, and Carson Beck is currently in the college football playoff. Either of those options, combined with the financial aspect, make me go, boy, Miami would make some serious sense. Another one. These are not in order, but they're kind of in order. Indiana. Also, 2 years in a row, transfer quarterbacks, it's gone pretty well. Curtis Rourke was in there. Man, they were humming. Fernando Mendoza, going to be maybe the number one overall pick in the NFL draft, which, while Fernando Mendoza is exceptional, he's probably going to win the Heisman Trophy. I still don't know if I see the number one overall pick, but I've been wrong about quarterbacks, pro prospects before. In the NFL, different sort of evaluation than what you have in college. Indiana would absolutely make sense. Now, maybe Fernando's brother is a guy that they believe in, Alberto Mendoza, who is indeed the backup quarterback, which was a wild switch to watch happen for a play in the Big Ten championship game against Ohio State. Fernando goes down, and then Alberto, wearing 16 instead of 15 and almost the same face, just comes out and says, all right, here we go. I can't remember seeing anything like that before. But I think that would make plenty of sense. A system that has proven to not just win a bunch of games, but get you to the NFL, win a conference championship, you're in a bigger league. Indiana has, I think, made some serious financial commitments to football over the last couple of years. I'm sure they'd be able to give him plenty. So Indiana, yeah, that would certainly be a fit. Let me throw this one out there. Can you think of another Arizona State transfer quarterback that went to a certain school in Baton Rouge and had success? Now, that was a different coaching staff. But who's at LSU right now? Yes, Lane Kiffin. Maybe they feel that Michael Van Buren is the future quarterback there. Maybe they don't. I know between the two, I'd rather have Sam Leavitt. And what is Lane Kiffin's record with quarterbacks? Oh, yes, very good. And what do you know you're going to have at LSU, no matter what year it is or who the head coach is? You're going to have some darn good wide receivers because they can really recruit. And Lane Kiffin, off to a very good start in that regard, to nobody's surprise. So Leavitt's a guy who has potentially 2 years of eligibility left. I don't know that that's the sort of futuristic thinking Lane Kiffin would concern himself with, but with all the drama and all the hype that he has going to be the head coach at LSU, a proven commodity at quarterback, yeah, that would make a lot of sense. So LSU would absolutely be a logical landing spot for Sam Leavitt. And following in the footsteps of Jaden Daniels, it's not a bad guy to try and emulate. He also is working out pretty well in the NFL. 2 more SEC schools before I throw another ACC at you, and then 2 Big Tens. Just keep these on the radar. I don't think, though I'm never really sure, Diego Pavia is going to be back at Vanderbilt next year. If he isn't, that's another system stylistically that Sam Leavitt's skill set I think is fit for with the way that he's able to run, but it's not quite, run your quarterback just straight into the line 15 to 20 times a game. I think Vanderbilt would be a spot that absolutely would look attractive. Do they have the money to outbid some of these other teams for his services? I don't know. That's up to Clark Lee and the donors in Nashville there. But another one, and this is under the radar, both these schools are, but again, I'm just looking at where there would be a fit. I don't think Mississippi State is the craziest idea that I've seen in college football in the last several years. I don't think it's wild at all. They've seen him play for the last couple of seasons because remember, the Bulldogs hosted Arizona State this year and played at Arizona State last year. They split those meetings. So at the very least, Jeff Lebby has had a handshake with Sam Leavitt before. And the production that he's gotten from the quarterback position when Blake Shapen's been healthy has been darn good. Now, Mississippi State fired their defensive coordinator. That was the absolute right thing to do. So did Tennessee. That was the right thing to do. That hire matters, but when you're the offensive guy as the head coach, as Jeff Lebby is, I think that pitch would be very appealing, depending on what other schools would want his services. So Mississippi State, I think that's viable. I'll give you 3 more, an ACC and 2 Big Tens. Thomas Castellanos did not get another year of eligibility at Florida State. Do they have their quarterback in-house or would they look elsewhere? One thing we've known about Florida State for a while, they're not short on money. And as I mentioned, Arizona State was willing to make a competitive offer in the $3 to $4 million range. That means someone has given Sam Leavitt, in all likelihood, $4 million or more, perhaps in the 5 range, to go play quarterback per year. So, and that's not even, I think, going to be the biggest number for a quarterback that gets thrown around in the transfer portal. Because remember, Darian Mensah at Duke, he just won the ACC. He's $4 million a year at Duke, a program that's trying to get serious about football. And, went pretty well this year. You won the ACC. So Florida State's a name I'd keep an eye on there. Here are the 2 in the Big Ten. I'm going to start and just throw it out there. This is basically a courtesy. But I don't know. The timing of when all of this went down was at least peculiar. Do you know where Sam Leavitt began his college career? A place he only played a few games because he did not, or because I think he could go back and get a red shirt if he hasn't already. But he started his career in East Lansing, Michigan. New coaching staff there that moved in very quickly. Had the feel with Pat Fitzgerald coming in of an administration and a staff that had put this in the works for a while, and I wonder if they reached out. Maybe they want to make it work with Aiden Childs. Maybe they don't. Sam Leavitt's a better quarterback. So I'll throw it out there as a courtesy. Last one. It checks a lot of boxes. A lot of boxes. Money, need, fit, track record. Experience having played against the guys, so there's at least some level of knowledge. Matt Campbell is the head coach at Penn State. Matt Campbell at Penn State, why would you not go after Sam Leavitt? You want to come in, make a splash? You're the head coach of Penn State. Boy, you better be trying to. If Penn State's winning in year one, it's not going to be on the back of a bunch of great true freshmen. I think they have 5 coming in. Their recruiting class for this year is a wash. It's done. The administration made sure that all got screwed up. I'm just saying, Matt Campbell played against him in the Big 12 championship game last year. He's seen him. He's seen him a time or two. Does that seem out of the realm of possibility? I think all of those options, and you could come up with some other ones. I'll be pretty surprised if Sam Leavitt plays football next year at a school that is not one of the ones that I listed. I think that's one of the best lists I've ever come up with. And I'll just run through it one more time. Miami, Indiana, LSU, Vandy, Mississippi State, Florida State, Penn State, Michigan State. My prediction, Sam Leavitt plays at one of those schools. Hot take, listing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are hundreds of schools out there that he could technically go to. It's just, I think those are the best options. So, Oklahoma, Alabama, the rematch. Does Oklahoma get it done? A look at that game coming up next. First, this episode brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. NFL Sundays, boy, they move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place live bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. And every college football playoff game is, of course, over there at FanDuel. Get an idea for what the sharp odds makers at FanDuel think about a particular matchup. Alabama -2.5 at Oklahoma. I think they're wrong, which probably means I'm wrong. If you want to just fade all of my point spread picks, that would have made you money throughout the course of this season, so I can't blame you there. So, if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Earlier this week, I joined my guy John Williams of Locked On Sooners to talk about the pending matchup with Alabama in Norman next week. Absolutely stoked for that game. That conversation sounds like this.
All right, so Oklahoma gets to play Alabama, this time in Norman for the first round game of the college football playoff. It was a 2-point win for the Sooners. A lot of people talked about it being lucky or fluky, blah, blah, blah. What do you make of this matchup for Oklahoma against Alabama?
I was as quick to pick this matchup as I was to pick Tulane and Ole Miss. I think Oklahoma is going to win this football game because they are the better football team than Alabama. And I don't just say that because they beat them the first time. And I know how hard it is to beat a team twice in a season. But when you beat them the first time at their place and now you get to come and be at home when Alabama had to play more recently than you did and get beat up against Georgia in the SEC championship game. And I know that Oklahoma defense is really good. I've been high in it all season long. And I do not have any faith in the Alabama offense. What would you even say Alabama does well at the moment? Because obviously they can't run the ball. We've known that all season. But I watched them against Georgia, and it's not just that they couldn't throw it either. It's that they couldn't do the easy stuff. I mean, they're trying to throw the ball on a wheel route or a flat route. They can't complete a pass. I mean, it looks completely inept. They look like a team that has just been through a bunch, and that they just do not look like they are operating at all at a level that gives me any sort of confidence that they can go in and put up 20 or more points against the Oklahoma defense. I don't see how you reach that conclusion. It'd be a heck of a coaching job by Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb if they do, because I just watched them against a defense the caliber of Oklahoma's, and they had -3 rushing yards and 7 points. And they just did so many things wrong. They didn't look great against Auburn either. I don't know where your confidence in the Alabama offense would come from. And quietly, the Alabama defense has started playing well. So that's my biggest concern for Oklahoma in this game. Will John Mateer in the offense be able to find any sort of rhythm? I don't know if that's going to happen either. I think this could be an old Big Ten West score, John, like 14-12. Mm-hmm. I legitimately, that might be my final score prediction. I might say 13-12, just for fun. So I don't think Oklahoma should be underdogs at home. I think that's an overreaction to Alabama's brand there, and I think Oklahoma is going to win the football game.
Yeah, I think some of it comes back to Oklahoma's offense just not being able to find enough consistency really since the Michigan and Auburn games. I mean, it's just been really up and down. They've been explosive. They've found enough explosive plays offensively to go win football games, and really that's all that matters. It's going to be a slugfest. And where Oklahoma struggles maybe the most is in the passing game, and Alabama's great against the pass. And I think that will be what determines their offensive success, if they can find enough in the passing game, because John Mateer is going to have to make some throws for you to get a win. Oklahoma's offense is a little bit dinged up. Their running backs haven't been healthy. Can they run the ball consistently? But man, I'm with you. The defense is just playing so well. And what they were able to have success against Oklahoma's defense with was a lot of the, hey, we're looking at the sideline and snapping the ball while nobody's paying attention kind of a. They took advantage of some of Oklahoma's attempts to make some last second adjustments. I don't think that they're going to be able to find that kind of same success the second time around.
Yeah. And again, I just keep coming back to what I've seen from the Alabama offense in the last month. It's been bad.
Yeah.
Ryan Williams has disappeared. Ty Simpson, when he gets under pressure, is worse than most quarterbacks, and most of them are not very good unless you're Jordan Love with the Packers, who I think had a PFF grade of like 99 against the Blitz on Sunday in their win over the Bears. And I think that what Oklahoma is able to do defensively matches up really well against what Alabama struggles with, and that's protecting the quarterback.
Yeah.
Like Caden Proctor's an NFL offensive lineman. Man, the rest of that Bama offensive line is not playing very well. And I know the Oklahoma front is nasty, and I know that Brent Venables is going to bring a variety of blitz packages to confuse him, and that's what's thrown them out of the rhythm all season long. It's what threw them out of the rhythm in Tuscaloosa earlier this year. So, yeah, I think Oklahoma is the more trustworthy team, because if I'm looking at two teams that are playing better on the defensive side of the ball, which they certainly are, which defense do I trust more? It's Oklahoma. And, yeah, Alabama's defense has improved. I don't think Alabama's defense is one of the 10 best in all of college football. Oklahoma's is. So, yeah, defense wins championships, as they say. Oklahoma is at home, more rested. I think the Sooners are going to win the football game. I don't know if either team's getting to 20. Both offenses are a rough watch. Like, they're a really ugly, rough, bad watch. And honestly, I'm kind of excited to see it. You know, points being at a premium, hey, yeah. I'm here for it. But, yeah, something like 17-12, you know, just something ugly, I think is where this game winds up going.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a big opportunity for both defenses to just slow this thing down and make it a slugfest. And because both offenses really haven't found a lot of consistency over the last month, then yeah, it seems like it's going to be a old school college football game where it's a slugfest and special teams is going to matter significantly. And Oklahoma's got a really good special teams. As you look at the playoff bracket, we'll get you out of here on this. Who's your favorite to kind of win it all?
As crazy as this sounds, Ohio State.
Okay.
Last year, they got spurred on by a loss. Now, it was to Michigan, so that hits different than Indiana. I think the Hoosiers were just incredibly fired up to play that game, and not that Ohio State was unmotivated, but I think Indiana wanted that game more. Ohio State knows what the real mission is. That's to go win another national championship, and Indiana's very impressive. Mm-hmm. Very, very impressive. Like
I was impressed.
Now, I think those two teams more than likely meet in the national championship game. Like Georgia could get in there as well. I still wonder about Georgia a little, even though they've looked more like themselves and they've been a more complete football team on offense, defense, special teams. That's what they were when they won back-to-back national championships. I'm bullish on Gunnar Stockton. Been a big fan of his since he came in for Carson Beck last year. I was somebody that after that game said, yeah, Notre Dame just beat Georgia, and having Carson Beck wouldn't have mattered because Gunnar Stockton was just fine. Mm-hmm. Gunnar Stockton looked pretty good, and Gunnar Stockton is playing his best football. So I think Georgia's obviously got a chance. I don't think you can rule out Texas Tech, but honestly, I'd take Ohio State. Going into the bracket right now, I would take Ohio State to win the national championship again.
Yeah, if Oklahoma is able to get past Alabama and then has to face Indiana in the Rose Bowl, like to me, that's a fun matchup because one, I don't know if Oklahoma's ever played Indiana. I've never looked it up, but I like their front. Their defensive front is active. They're physical. They look a lot like Oklahoma's defensive front. And again, it could be just another smash mouth football game.
Be a lot of red.
Yeah. And there'd be a lot of red. And two transfer portal quarterbacks going and trying to find some success.
Probably the two best transfer portal quarterbacks that move. You'd have to toss Carson Beck into that fold as well. But like, I think Beck has been better than Mateer. I don't think either one's been as good as Mendoza, obviously, who's probably going to win the Heisman Trophy. But yeah, and just as a quick side note for all the Sooners fans out there listening to or watching this show, the transfer portal window for quarterbacks, I think, is going to be a lot deeper and crazier than it was a year ago. Sam Leavitt from Arizona State is the first of many dominoes that I think will fall.
We're not worried about that. John Mateer's coming back. They're going to roll with John Mateer. I mean, there are some Sooner fans that think they need to look at a different signal caller. I think you just need to ride with it. It's not been great, but it's been good enough. And if he can keep playing complimentary football,
is good enough the standard?
Defense, no, it's not the standard. It's not the standard, not at all. But he's been a part of what's helped you get to 10 wins.
True.
He's a leader on that team. There's vibes. You got to ride with vibes sometimes as opposed to stats. And football is not one on paper. It's one sometimes with heart and emotion and leadership. And as bad as he has been at times this year, he has still been an important part of what's helped Oklahoma have success.
Second year in the system, continuity. I can see it.
Give me continuity, because if we change up again, we'll go from Dylan Gabriel to the Jackson Arnold, Michael Hawkins experience to John Mateer. And then if we get another quarterback,
Jackson Arnold's in the portal.
That'll be 4 quarterbacks in 4 years with 3 different offensive coordinator situations. Like, let's have some continuity. I'm all for that.
I see that argument.
All right, go check out
roll the dice on Jackson Arnold again.
Listen, we're not going to do that here. All of our Locked On Sooners everydayers know how I feel about Jackson Arnold. The dude's got all the talent in the world. I just think my guy needs to spend some time with a sports psychologist and just find his mojo again.
He needs to learn from Dante Moore. And he needs to go find a veteran quarterback and a stable offense to sit in for a year and learn from. That's what he needs to do.
He needs to go spend an offseason just playing a bunch of 7-on-7 where he just throws the ball a ton. Like, drop back, sling it, and not worry about anything else, because he just in his head too much, just holding the ball too much. But that's my aside. He's got all the tools in the world to be really, really good.
Yes, he does.
Got to throw the ball.
Appreciate everyone listening. I will see you next time. And until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.